The Lost City of Z is a long, boring mess of a movie that was kind of based on a true story about this guy searching for a lost city in the Amazon.
Did Amazonia contain a hidden civilization? If we may find a city where one was considered impossible to exist, it may well write a whole new chapter in human history.
So this movie was directed by James Gray, and it stars mainly Charlie Hunnam as Percy Fawcett. And it's kind of like he goes on this adventure. He's a military guy, and they want him to try to track this river that kind of is a border of Bolivia. And that when they go there, they see the tribal, like the Amazonian people, the native Amazonians, and there's like disease and piranha and all sorts of shenanigans. But at the end of that first trip, he finds signs of a lost civilization. And the weird thing is that this movie has so many different parts to it. It feels like it's multiple movies. It has like 3 or 4 beginning, middles, and ends. And there's not one clear one for the overarching story. And it's very odd. Like, it kept going like, so you're going to keep going on again? Okay, another trip. Okay, fail, another trip. Okay, fail, another trip. And it's just, it needed better editing, or needed another hand on it to cut the film down to something reasonable and something better. But the funny thing is that it feels like the film was even longer and they cut it down to what it is now. Because it jumps around in time a lot. Like, you'll be, it's like, they're going on these 2-year voyages in the Amazon, and you get, like, some of them get, like, 10 minutes with, and, like, it doesn't really help show the pass of time. Like, you can't feel the pass of time. Then he goes home, and he's, like, 3 years pass, and it's in an instant. And it's just weird. It even has this really odd, out-of-place World War I scene. Like that, it looks probably would cost a lot to film, but if you went to the bathroom during it, you probably missed most of it. And it's so weird. Like, this film is not a good film. But the weird thing is that parts of it are good. Like, especially my favorite part was probably the first mission. The first voyage on the Amazon. But that seemed like it had the most context, most like the longest time they're on the voyage, and the rest of them, when they went back and back, were just stupid. And I think the biggest problem about this is that they tried to make Charlie Hunnam, he's not a great actor, but they tried to make the character who was playing Percy Fawcett as a hero, but he wasn't a hero. Like, I looked up a lot more stuff about him, and basically he was a racist idiot that stumbled his way through the Amazon, getting people killed, and eventually getting himself and his son killed. And, like, that's, like, there's no, like, when you look at it, some other experts can figure out why the author of the original book, David Grant, spent so much time on this guy and effort, and why they're making a movie about him, and there's other much more important and nice guys they could have made a film about. But it's so weird. They tried to make him in such a hero, and actually tried to make him that he thought the Indians and the Native Americans, that they were on the equal level as a white man. And like, he had arguments with all the other people about how that they had an ancient civilization before us, and he was not like that. When you look at it, he thought he was so against the brown or red people being like him that he proposed that a millennia ago, a civilization of white Indians traveled across the sea and somehow got to the Amazon and created this really amazing civilization, because it's so impossible for him to believe that one of the lesser races could have had any sort of civilization. So, and the biggest thing I looked at, that a lot of people, what they propose, how he died, like how this is kind of a spoiler, but it's a real story, so it's not that much of a spoiler. But at the end, you don't really get an ending, and that's the thing. My biggest problem with the film is the end. And this is kind of a spoiler, but you don't, like, in the true story aspect of it, no one knows what happened to him and his son. Like, they just disappeared. And so that the whole last voyage, which to me is so weird, it felt like the movie was over and then they went on this voyage. And there was a very happy feeling to this voyage, like it was like a triumphant thing. And then, like, it fails, obviously. But the way they filmed all of that, no one knows that happened. So you could have filmed anything. And that's this whole movie is about finding this lost city of Z, and they never find it. What's the point of the film? What's the point? There is no point to the film. And I mean, I understand that that's what actually happened, but if you don't know what happened at the end, you could have had him find it and then get killed, or then get captured by Indians. Like, you could have done anything other than what they did. And what's even more confusing, at the very end of the film, they have the thing with the wife and things that make it seem like that he did survive. But there's no, that doesn't make sense to what they just showed or what the history says. That's what actually happened to the Fawcett clan. I assume he pissed off the Indians multiple times in his voyages. Like, the biggest thing is that the idea that you would trade with the Indians, like you go in and you give them gifts and they give you gifts, and they'd like resupply you and everything. And he never brought gifts; he would only take from them. And then I think he stole canoes that he found on the river and used them, and then he struck one of the Indian children that was playing with a knife, and that is so frowned upon about hurting a child that they freaked out on him. And so I assume that he probably just screwed with the wrong Indians and they got rid of them. But no one knows. This film is just too long and too much of a mess. Like, you could have made a story about one aspect of the journey, or done something else, or even like shortened pieces or not shown pieces, but they didn't. There's so many aspects of the journey that it just becomes a weird thing. Like, it almost feels like it was going to be a TV series that was like chopped up into bits, and then they thought, no, we don't have enough for a TV show. Let's just cut it into a film. And also the other thing is that the actual name of the book that the guy wrote is about the obsession of the lost city, like that he is obsessed with finding this lost city, and that he almost like went crazy. But the film doesn't try to deliver that aspect of the film at all. I mean, every chance they get, they portray him as a hero, as a good guy, and other people that may cause a mission to fail. And it's never him. It's never that he's a douchebag, and he's insane, and he's obsessed with finding the city, an obsession that costs people their lives. And as a film, like, there's some really pretty shots, and there's some cool scenes, but as a film, it's a mess. Like, maybe if you had it playing in the background at home, it could be slightly entertaining, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it. I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10. And I wouldn't go out and check it out. It's not very good. But thanks for watching. You can check out my other video playlists around my head.